Okay. All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order. It's 6:30. For resolution 1.02, approve the agenda.
Move it.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstaining? Passed 7-0-0. We're going to do the information for evacuation procedure in the event of an emergency. We're going to have you move out to the front door of the library, out to either side, move far away from the building, or there's an exit back here behind Mr. Wilson. Could you please join me in the pledge this evening? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. There is nobody signed up for public forum this evening. I'm going to move the agenda, or the resolution 1.06 to approve August 8th regular meeting minutes.
Move it.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? I abstain. That passes 6-0-1. For our President's report this evening, there is a policy committee tomorrow. We have a Board of Ed meeting on the 12th. I believe we also have one on the 26th.
1926, correct.
And there is the Health and Wellness on September 19th. Anybody who is still interested in doing the NYSBA convention, if you haven't already, let Mrs. Perry know. Please let her know that information. I know that registration opened up on August 8th, but she'll be able to get you in. Are there any questions on the President's report? All right, Mr. Polvino, we're going to pass it over to you then.
Great. Well, good evening, everybody. It's hard to believe we're at the second meeting in August, so school's opening in just over 2 weeks. So it's an exciting time of year here in the Fulton City School District. We're going to start off with our first item this evening. They all fall in your realm, Mrs. Geithner. Would you like to introduce them?
I would love to. This evening, we welcome new administrators to our district. We'll begin with Tammy Sheldon because she is not new to our district, but she is new to her position as Director of Student Support Services. Ms. Sheldon was a school home liaison at Lanigan Elementary for a number of years, and now then assistant principal here at the junior high, and moving into the Director of Student Support Services position this summer. And we're very excited to have her expertise and her community knowledge for our students and families to benefit from. So welcome to the team, Tammy. In addition, we'd like to, Mr. Kaprowski, would you like to do this next introduction? I don't want to introduce you, but since Ms. Platt.
Principal of junior high, I'm going to introduce my colleague, Hannah Platt, the new assistant principal that we have had our interview over the summer and is now part of our administrative team here at the junior high. We've jumped right in, we're ready to go for the new school year, so we're excited.
Welcome.
Welcome.
And last this evening, I'd like to introduce Melissa Petricola. Melissa is the new principal at Fairgrave Elementary School and joined us earlier this summer and has been hard at work getting to know her staff and her families and her teammates here on the administrative team, and is looking forward to welcoming your parents and all members of the Fairgrave community on the 31st, right, for popsicles with the principal. So if you would like to meet Melissa in person, please stop by Fairgrave. Thank you.
Welcome.
So thank you for your approvals at previous meetings, but we wanted to put some faces with the names that we've had out there, and I've just been very impressed. You know, I look at the beginning of the year as like in the starting gate, we're ready to roll. Well, they broke out already, and they're already well on their way and off to a great start. So thank you for your efforts so far, and we look forward to your work on behalf of our kids and families throughout the course of the year. So thank you for joining us. Early college, high school. Seems like we bring you here a lot. But, you know, we ended our year talking about early college, high school, but you've done some great things this summer. We had a lot of great things going on. But I want Ms. Geithner and also Mr. Broderick to speak. So this evening, we want to really highlight our kids. And I want to say, this program has truly blossomed since I still remember being asked, should we do this? And should we pursue the grant? And look at where we are now. and what we've accomplished. So, Mr. Broderick, Ms. Geithner?
Well, I'm glad you did this, Mr. Butler. It's been great. So first, thank you to all the administration board for giving our students the opportunity that you've given them over the course of the grant, but specifically this summer. We did some unprecedented things this summer, and we felt like this summer was really a jumping off point for a new vision for the early college program in terms of partnerships and job shadowing. And our students that are here today are going to talk a little bit about that. I'll just highlight a little bit of what's gone on since we met last in June, I think I was here, and we've done a lot since then. So Mr. Wilson, I think do you have the, is there a PowerPoint?
Dr. Lacey does.
Oh, okay. All right. So our IT students have had opportunities. Jake Atwater is here. He's going to talk about an opportunity he had as recently as today, job shadowing with Fulton Savings Bank. We had 19 students this summer that had just completed their freshman year take a one credit college course, microcomputer maintenance, where they, in the classroom there, you can see them, where they literally took apart a computer and put it back together. So this is real. When anything goes wrong in my house, I have to call somebody. These kids won't have to do that because they learned, and I've heard from them about how they've been able to use what they've learned already. It was a one credit class and they have that credit, but that experience of being on campus and what they learned. Jake and Aiden will be for our job shadowing this week at Fulton Savings Bank. Aiden is interested in cybersecurity, so working at a bank. That's obviously happening every day, and Jake's going to talk about engineering and the experience that he had today. So our students, our rising sophomores, had a total of 285 hours of seat time, and all 19 of them passed the class. This class was July 10th, right after the 4th of July week. So all of our students who have been participating in this are finding a way to do all the fun things they want to do in the summer. Our student rep, Harper Ells, was a big part of that this summer, but also balancing that with having a job, playing on a sports team, and finding a way to complete these job shadow experience and earn college credit. Mr. Lacey? So a new partner this year, thanks to CCC and Oswego Health, is Upstate. And we had 15 students, and Grace and Alyssa are two of them here today, who were able to spend anywhere from 20 to 32 hours job shadowing in all sorts of different departments that are listed on the screen, and Alyssa and Grace will talk about those. But again, it's real life experience where they would literally walk me to the door, and that was as far as I could go, and the students could keep walking. And I got to drive a van up there every day for 20 days. So what was worth it is, I'll tell Mr. Henry if he needs a bus driver, I'm qualified. Ask him. But just riding home with them and learning about what they did that day was so cool. And they'll tell you about what they liked and didn't like. And that's the value, and that's why I say thank you. You're letting these students figure out what they like and don't like when they're 15, 16, 17 years old, instead of when they're 19, 20, 21, or 22, when they're racking up a tuition bill and kind of making mistakes on the fly. They're figuring it out right now, and I know I'm grateful, and as are they, and we'll talk about that. And then Oswego Health, they've been a partner on this grant from day one. Mark Brown is the VP of Human Resources there. He attends every steering committee meeting we have. They are such a great partner to our students, because at a time when our students just finish in their freshman year and you're trying to find something exciting for them to do to keep them engaged in this program, he had 36 of our students in for 10 hours each, a 4-hour orientation, just like a new employee would receive, and then 2 3-hour job shadows, where our kids were, if you're in the Oswego Hospital and you hear the lullaby music over the speakers, there's a baby being delivered. And so our kids are in the rooms when surgeries are being performed, in maternity. It's just, it's really unprecedented experience. And again, they chose from 10 or 11 different departments, and they only got to pick 2. Some of them want to pick 4 or 5, and they'll get that opportunity down the road at Upstate. But they also took a 3-credit college course for the course starting July 10th, the week of the 10th, 17th, and the 24th, where they were on campus at CCC Monday through Friday for, Monday through Thursday for 3 hours a day. So again, it shows their commitment, their understanding that this is such a great opportunity for them, and the maturity that they show as they haven't spent one day in our building as a sophomore. And they're doing these things and making these choices, and that's what they're doing. And it's so impressive. But I think we're all thankful that Oswego Health has a bigger footprint now in our community, and they welcomed us into their workspace the last 3 years. So I'm really, really proud of this program. You know, I think this summer was really a breaking point for us of understanding what we were capable of in this program. And now we have the best advertising, the best commercials available. These students will be in this room talking to kids during their wind bells, recruiting you know, 8th graders, rising 9th graders in the spring this year. So once again, I'm so excited about what's in front. Opportunities are in front of these students because of what they're learning at such a young age. So I'm going to invite Jake Atwater up here first. He's a senior, rising senior. He'll be a senior here in 2 weeks, and he's an IT student.
Hi everyone. So like Mr. Broderick explained today, I got to job shadow at Fulton Savings Bank, and basically it let me get the realization of what it's like to have an IT job, what an everyday job is like, sitting down at the desks, getting the tasks to help others. So basically at Fulton Savings Bank, the one in Fulton is their main headquarters, but they have 6 different branches, one in Central Square, one in Baldwinsville. But so basically we got to learn that basically like 3 years ago they switched their whole system to online. So they have one center that basically is the whole cybersecurity for the whole 6 branches of the banks. And every day they get a whole referral of what's happening through their bank, and this whole online company basically looks over their bank and tells them what's going right, what's going wrong, and what they have to fix. So we got to learn about that. We got to see how he can shadow into other people's computers that are 100 miles away, 50 miles away. We just got to see all the technology behind everything that basically controls the bank. And it was just cool to kind of see like what it's like to kind of, like we got to see him, the guy we were working with, we got to see him be stressed in situations. We got to see what it's like to kind of have to deal with situations in a short amount of time and try to fix them in a day, because a bank, people are going to get mad if they can't get their money. People are going to get mad if they can't cash checks. So you're kind of on a time crunch and you want to fix things quickly. So it was fun to see that. We got to take a little field trip out to the other branch at Central Square, and we got to see how they work behind the tellers and everything like that. And it was just a cool experience that we get to do because of this early college program. And this early college program puts us ahead of everybody. Like, not everybody's job shadowing and seeing this. Not everybody's getting 40 credits out of high school and getting a jump start. Not everybody's getting the chance to kind of see what college life is like and learn how you have to study for college exams and stuff like that. Like, we're getting the head start on everybody. And it was just so cool to see all that. And I mean, I'm not going into cybersecurity, but it was really cool just to see that side. Like, I'm more into the engineering field. But no matter what, cybersecurity is going to be a part of that in any technology, but it was just cool to see all the aspects of going into kind of having an IT job.
Nice.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Nice.
That's great.
Madeline Vista, she would be sophomore.
I started my my summer experience this year, as Coach Broderick said, with a 3-credit college course, and it was Student Development 101, which was a really cool course, and we were actually on campus for the whole thing, which I found really interesting to be able to actually be in a college level setting as, you know, a freshman in high school, with real professors and the databases that they use and all that. But after that course, the real exciting thing that we all did was the job shadowing, where we spent 2 3-hour blocks in different branches of the Sweet Health Hospital, which was extremely interesting. I personally spent my first block in the operating room, and I actually got to see 3 procedures happen in the room with the surgeons and the anesthesiologists, and just, I was there for everything. And I met the patients beforehand, and I was able to witness the RNs putting in the data from the patients into their computer system, and I was able to see them put the IVs into the patients to administer the medicine later. The whole experience was just incredibly interesting, and I felt really lucky to be there, just seeing it, because that's not an experience that other people have, especially being in the room, seeing those things. My second shadowing experience was in the same day, actually, in the Women's Services Department, and I unfortunately did not get to see any any laboring or anything like that, which was what I really thought that I was really most interested in when I first went into the program. But I was able to see a couple different checkups of the newborn babies, and I was able to actually assist and talk to the patients about during their recovery from different surgeries as they recovered in the Women's Services Unit, which was also very interesting to be able to see and just experience as I was there. The whole, just being there was really cool, and it allowed me to, as Coach Broderick said, figure out what I preferred and what might interest me more as I go forward, because I have not decided what kind of career I would want yet. I don't really know what field I want to go into, but to be able to experience all of that and get an inside look in the healthcare field was really very exciting, and it just gave me a much better handle on what I might want to do in the future.
That's great.
Very good.
That's great.
Thank you.
Hey, Manny, can I just ask you a quick question? So, you said you're not sure. I'm sorry. What would, if we were able to expand it, what are things like that you'd be interested in, or students would be interested in looking for, like in other fields or things like that?
I think that more just hands-on stuff, like the internships that Jake did or the job shadowing that I did, would be even more valuable, especially even if you're not in the program. And I know that's not exactly the point, but I think that would be really cool just to have those opportunities available to everyone, to be able to get hands-on experience with jobs people might be interested in before they make really big decisions about their life, to figure out if that is, in principle, something that they actually want to do for their career.
Hi, I'm Alyssa Sawyer. I will be a rising senior. I did job shadowing of the upstate earlier this summer, and I did 20 hours total, so a whole week. And I ranged from clinical to actual hospitalization. So me and Grace both did neurology, which is a clinical office. So you have people that come in and do appointments, usually somebody that previously had a head injury that they were hospitalized for, and they would go to neurology for a checkup later on that year or a couple months later, where they would just say their symptoms, if anything's changed, have a quick checkup. I also did other units like orthopedic, which was very interesting. Usually with orthopedic you have a range of people, so I had one patient who was a schizophrenic, or I had one patient who was completely just came out of surgery and had really no issues. So orthopedic was really great, and they were very welcoming, seeing as how they were kind of thrown, us students, and they were very welcoming for us. I also did surgery transplant, which was really interesting, and I got to see some really cool things up there with patients. One of my favorites would have been medical surgical ICU. I actually got to see a patient be intubated, and I got to see an A-line be put in, which was really cool. Because usually you wouldn't see an intubation happen. Even the nurse I was shadowing told me she had only seen 3 in the entire time that she had been working there. I also did, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, I did medicine, which is your general medicine floor, and I got to see a range of people, diabetics who were getting their insulin, I had a cancer patient who was in serious pain, so they were administering her pain medication and trying to get her stabilized. You see a really great range of people on those floors. But even then, you shadow a range of people. I shadowed a nurse who only had her associates, or you can shadow a nurse who actually has her bachelor's. So it puts into perspective the reality of you could have even just your associates and change somebody's life and make it for the better, which is, I had talked to Broderick before that it really put it into perspective that I am seriously considering SUNY Upstate for my bachelor's. Finishing out my associates at CCC. The classes that we've been taking so far have knocked out an entire semester, and get my RN there, and then go for a BSN at SUNY Upstate, because they have a really great program up there for that. And you could do that and completely get out of college without little to no student debt, which is really great. And I know SUNY Upstate has some wonderful different bachelor's programs, whether that's for nursing, or if you wanted to do, say, occupational therapy. They have a wonderful array of degrees. But even just talking to some of the nurses and seeing where their tips and tricks for nursing to make it easier, or just what works best, and just seeing even the communications between the different floors, how they can communicate with each other and say, hey, this patient needs this amount of this medication, can you send it up? It really is interesting to see different floors and how they talk to each other, and really how they work together to change a patient's life, whether that's saving their life or just fixing their pain, or even just helping them in general. But it was a really great experience, and I wish I could do it again, but it was great. But I'm sure Grace can go more into that. That's a little better.
Well, thank you.
I'm Grace Kilpatrick. I'm a rising senior, and I'm also part of the Health Sciences Early College Program. It truly is something I'm very grateful for that I signed up for, and starting in like 8th grade? Yeah. It's been really great. So when I did this job shadowing recently, I did a total of 8 days, which adds up to, I believe, 32 hours. So I really did get to see quite a lot of like variety of different things, and like even I got to see like slower days, like when me and Alyssa were in the neurology, that's more of a clinical, so we got to see like a lot more charting that day with occasional appointments and just like more simpler things. And I also got to see more of the more like crazier floors and more fast-paced floors where things aren't always going to plan, but the Upstate staff has been so great at like really being able to redirect on path when things get a little crazy, and you really get to see like all aspects of it, like the good parts of the day, the bad parts of the day, and it's really nice to see that variety, because I think when somebody is like unsure, or even if they do think that they know that they have an idea of something, like me personally, I want to go into pediatric oncology for cancer doctor for children. And that is something, one of the units I did, and I still really love it. So it definitely gave me a clarification on that's something I still want to pursue. But I also seen and talk to other nurses that do like travel nursing, and they get to do a lot of other different things. They don't necessarily stick to one unit, and they, like all of them have said, even if you're just starting off with your associate or bachelor's, you will always have a job as an RN, which I think is pretty cool. And you really get to make connections with the doctors and the nurses and a lot of the staff, where you can when you're going to apply for a job one day, you can be like, oh, I job shadow with this person, especially if you're going into upstate. You'll always have like more of connections there, which I think is really great. And you do build relationships there. Like when we were going into different units and stuff, I got to communicate with the patients, talk to them, and I got to see even like procedures being done. I got to see a central line being put in through someone's neck, but they were still awake. And I also got to see on the medical ICU for a bronch being done, which is where they take a camera and put it down your throat, and you get to see like the inside of the person's lungs and stuff. So I got to see quite a bit of different things, and I've gotten to even like help out with little things like changing beds and stuff, which I thought was pretty cool, just to get that experience really. And it's been really great, just like getting not only to know the environment you plan on going into, but also building relationships with those doctors and nurses, and being able to say, oh, this person I job shadowed with, and they actually taught me a lot, and they can give you a connection years down the road, possibly. I think that's really great. And you definitely get to see a lot, even on the slower days. You get to learn so much about the charting. Like all of the RNs I was with, they walked you through step by step on how to do everything. They're like, this is my schooling it took to do it, which Alyssa talked about, all the programs that SUNY Upstate have, which I think is really great, especially when you don't necessarily know what you want to do. I think it's really great to know that that's always there, because especially with nursing, you can take it in so many different directions, and you really get to see that side of it. And even taking the college classes too, it really does give you, like Jake said, a leg up in the process of everybody else, and you really get to find out like what things are meant for you and what you like and don't like. Even when it comes to like the medical field, if you're not really a blood and guts type of person, or if you are, either way, but it really does show you quite a bit and get a lot of experience that not many people have the opportunity to do. And I think this program has definitely given all of us like a really nice thing to be grateful for overall.
I'm sure you guys all want to hang with me for a day now, right?
Yes.
We can make that happen. These phenomenal. As I said the last time the Harper's group was here, we didn't pick the names out of a hat, but we could. There's a whole bunch more kids who have similar stories, and it's so cool. Last thing, if I could, we have a lot of proud parents here tonight, and these students, some of our board members, and all these parents on the receiving end of my messages, and we message a lot because there's a lot going on, and we brag a lot, and I'm just grateful to the parents who readjusted their summer schedules for this, got here tonight and are allowing us to have your kids participate in the program. We're grateful for that. So thank you, everybody. We appreciate this. We'll be back next month. Thank you.
I can't thank you enough for bringing your students in, because to hear their testimony, to hear what they're going through, I mean, they're having amazing opportunities that I know when I was in high school wouldn't even have been thought of. And to be able to, some of you say, now this is what I know I want to do, or no, I'm not really sure yet. You're going to have that opportunity, maybe not the seniors, to do it again next year and kind of dabble. And I guess my question to you is, I know that you will be talking to our junior high students in the spring, but do you know students right now, maybe even in 7th grade, or do you have younger siblings that you could possibly throw this out to, because through what you are learning is going to be their love of wanting to maybe try it, not just, Mr. Broderick standing up, because, as cool as he is, they might not know him yet. It's going to come through you and your peers. So if you can think this year, are there 1 or 2 younger students that that you could possibly throw this out to, so that they can start thinking about it even before the spring of next year comes? Because I am impressed thoroughly of the blood and guts thing. Sounds cool, but I'm not sure I would really stand up well in an operating room. But that you're so young and we're able to have that opportunity or, you know, the cybersecurity of the bank, you know, you're like, yeah, we would be mad if we didn't get our money. So thanks for learning how to, you know, keep things going for us. But Mr. Broderick, thank you and your team so much for you know, keeping these guys going and giving them the opportunity and keep bringing them into us, because these stories are like the happy stories of the hard work that these kids are putting in, and we really appreciate all that you guys are all doing. Thank you.
I just want to thank you for being the trailblazers. You know, and we're going to look back on your first 4 or 5 of your, what, 5th year of the program now?
Right? Friday,
Yeah.
you're our health science 4.
Yeah, so you're truly the trailblazers. You're the first graduates. You're setting the tone. So when I'm long gone, 10, 15, whatever many years, this program is going to be something. I was just thinking, as our enrollment's about 1,000 kids at the high school. We're running about 120 kids in both the programs at capacity, right? So about 24% of our kids are in this program. And my wheels are already turning, always turning, about how do we try to provide these experiences, some of these components, to other kids that aren't in the program? Because I think that's going to make a world of difference. So you're making a huge difference, and you can always be very proud of what you've started and been a part of. So, thank you.
Great job, guys.
Yeah.
All right, well, you're welcome to stay. These were riveting meetings, right? But next we're going to hear about the other end of the continuum, which is really ironic that we put them back to back like this, but it's kind of how it happened. This is the other end of the continuum. Mrs. Gates, if you could come forward along with Ms. Geithner, always with Instructional Division. We're going to talk about our Universal Pre-K program, which also is becoming one of our strongest programs here in the city. So thank you.
Yes, I have to say first. Oh, they're all
No, you guys are welcome to go. Thank you.
Just Kelly wanted to thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Very impressive.
And I have a project, so we'll connect.
It's hard to follow.
I know, you have to follow them. They did a great job.
All right, I'm at the beginning.
That's right.
This is true. That's exciting too.
So I have to say before I start that I do think it is ironic that we had that talk about early college, and then right after it we have pre-K, because we do want to begin with the end in mind. So the beginning for our students is really that first time they walk into our school buildings. And for many of them, that will be on September 6th when they come for UPK orientation. So for those of you that do not know me, I'm Kelly Gates. I'm the Director of Early Childhood. I'm beginning my 2nd year in this position. And I realized on the way here that this is my 26th school year. It just seems like it flew by like that. I feel privileged to hold this role in this district. So this is the team from the 2022-23 school year. We had classrooms in all 4 elementary buildings. This was the first school year that we had full-day classrooms. So we had 2 full-day classrooms, one at Bowman and one at Lanigan. So it truly takes a team, and we are better together. The UPK team meets 1 to 2 times a month. That is their professional learning team that gets together, and we work together throughout the school year. This picture is from our mid-year data meeting, where we looked at not only our building, but across the 4 buildings for UPK, to look at which essential standards we needed to focus on in order to get them ready for kindergarten. And I also really want to continually say that the first 5 years have so much to do with the next 80. We know that birth to 5 is one of the most crucial points in a student's life. I was at a conference last week, and they talked about how even at the age of 2, that is where they start to see those learning gaps. So really, Oswego County is currently just put together an Early Childhood Alliance, and we're working across the county to see how we can support birth
to that moment that they enter school. So Universal Pre-K, or referred to as UPK, is a state and federally funded program. The Fulton District receives a state grant. So this program is free for families. They receive transportation to and from school. They also can receive breakfast and lunch. And this program is aligned with the New York State Learning Standards. To be eligible, you have to turn 4 on or before December 1st. So it is that year right prior to kindergarten. The district provides oversight of this program. We partner with community-based organizations for our staff. And we have many, many partners, which you'll see.
Tell us who your friend is, though.
Oh, he's not on that slide.
Can you go back on Dr. Lisi?
So Pete the cat is one of my favorites. I have him in my office. When I taught kindergarten and pre-K, I read his books often. And the reason is because if you know Pete the cat, it is all good. So no matter what happens to you, even if you step in mud, it's all good. So as a classroom teacher and now as a director, I continue that mantra. So you will often see Pete the cat, and sometimes he shows up on my Google Meets, but he's sitting in my office. I should have brought him. Mrs. Geithner was just impressed. I got him to sit right on the line.
I was very impressed. Perfectly placed on the spot.
So our UPK program, our curriculum is CKLA for ELA, Eureka for our math, and Second Step for the social emotional learning. So we provide the foundation for students because this also aligns with our K through 6 curriculum. The class size, the most students we can have is 20. If we have 20 students, we would need 1 teacher and 2 additional paraprofessionals. A class of 18 is 1 teacher and 1 paraprofessional. The reason I have that in there is because our full day classrooms are at 20. In order to really meet the need of the community for that full day, all of our full day classrooms have 20 students, 1 teacher and 2 additional support. Our health services for our UPK students are the same as a K-12 student, so building nurses support UPK classrooms and those students. Our student support services, those are provided within the building, so the psychologist, the homeschool liaison, school home liaison, and the restorative practice specialist, they provide support to that classroom. We learned this school year that when a little one is in school all day, there is a lot more support needed. So we have learned a lot, and we're hoping to continue to learn as we add more full day classrooms, what that support looks like in each building. But I will say that every building is welcoming and loves having those little ones and has been supportive in our new adventure. Special education services for preschoolers are provided through the county funding. A district representative chairs that committee, which is me, and that's how special education works in preschool. For professional development for our staff, the school district oversees that, so the staff of the UPK classrooms attends all of our professional development and our trainings in order to really align with K-12. This is for the 2022-23 school year. So the year we just ended, we had 150 students, 7 half-day classrooms, which had 111 half-day students in them, 2 full-day classrooms, totaling 39 students.
Okay. How many of those students are enrolled in kindergarten? All of them?
Yes.
What is our kindergarten enrollment for this year?
As of Friday, it was 189, so Kelly is still working on finding some students who might still need to register, but our UPK students are enrolled.
So so a majority of the kids that are going to UPK, or majority of the kids in kindergarten have attended UPK.
Correct.
Yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yes. So I have been sitting on porches, out in neighborhoods. Today I was out in neighborhoods, beautiful day today, kind of trying to support families with that registration. It is sometimes challenging to register online. So those students that I'm aware of, I have been supporting families and registering. Even I visited a home last week with one of the homeschool liaisons, and I sat on the porch and screened the student, and she did the registration with the parent. So we're really trying to support families in registering and making sure that kids are ready to start that first day. And then our partners were Oswego County Opportunities, Head Start, the YMCA, First Step Universal Pre-K, and our new partner this past year was Little Luke's. So this past school year, the UPK Family Fun Nights came back. We held one in each building. So the district partnered with that community agency to hold the evening where families could come and have dinner, and then students played while those families listened to presentations from Catholic Charities, the YMCA. I also presented about kindergarten screening and registration. So it was really, really fun and well attended, and we plan to hopefully do 2 this coming school year. So a fall and a spring. This is the end of the year UPK family survey. So this first one is showing the amount of communication I received. So the blue is just right, red not enough, and that yellowish was too much. So as you can see, over 90% of the families felt like the amount of communication they received was just right. And then this slide is showing the goal of our program is to promote the development of readiness skills in reading, writing, math, speaking, listening, and socialization. And the blue is the yes, if the family felt that they had gained, and then that red is the no. So these are just a few highlights that I picked from the survey. So families were asked for a highlight. And when I was looking through these, just great things to say about our staff and what we are providing for families. For example, he loved making new friends and being able to do art. So I will share that all of our full-day classrooms receive art, library, music, and 2 days of physical education. So they receive all of those enrichment classes. Making friends, the whole year was a success, very thankful for the program. I love the first one, how much effort his teachers put into making sure it was the best experience. And I think that that's something that I really say often to the UPK staff is this is the first moment. This is the family's first moment in our district, and we really want to make this a positive and supportive experience for families and for students. And they all did. This is a preview of what's going to happen in, I don't know how many days. Melissa, do you know how many days? School? Yeah, no, I'm into that. Too few. 14. So in 14 days. So March 18th, we opened our registration at the Fulton Family Fun Day. That Saturday, we opened our registration. We had families actually at 12:02 a.m. on our website sign up for full day. because there's just really such a need for that full day. And we also had, I think about 30 actually come in person right within that first hour of March 18th. So I would like to propose that we open it a little bit earlier next school year. And so what we put in place was an initial selection for full day UPK in order to have that lottery for those spots. Initially, we thought we would have 3 full day classrooms. We soon knew that that was not going to be enough. So we worked with the partners, the community partners, and we were able to offer the 5 full day UPK classrooms. So we have 2 at Lanigan, 1 at Volney, 1 at Granby, and 1 at Fairgrave. And then we also have a morning class at Volney and a morning class at Granby. So either side of the community. So we currently are full with 134 students, 2 half-day classes of 36, 5 full-day classrooms of 98 students. We have, as of this evening, 5 families on our waiting list. And a few hours ago, we had a student move, so that then bumped someone. So it's a constant domino puzzle happening. Our partners this school year continue to be Oswego County Opportunities at Fairgrave, the YMCA at Lanigan, First Step Universal Pre-K is at Volney, and then we have a Little Luke's morning class at Granby, and then we are opening a Milestones special class integrated setting UPK at Granby. So that will allow students with that need to be in our building prior to kindergarten. This is a picture from the summer. The UPK team took part in a CKLA training at City BOCES. So we're all ready to go. And those are our partners. Do you have any questions?
Thank you for the information.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I want to thank Kelly and her team and everybody she works with, along with Jerry. They've really thought of it to go from two full-day pre-K, UPK programs to 5. And that's just looking at the funding and using it differently. So the pot is the same. Once again, we've always had a commitment in this district to just use the grants, so we don't use any of our general funds, which you want to when you see that, like if there's a need, but done an outstanding job. And I think what you saw tonight was the bookends. You got to see what we're trying to do at the beginning, which will now prepare those kids when they enter kindergarten. And you notice we've made it seamless. They're doing all of the same curriculum and programming in pre-K that they're doing in kindergarten. So we're getting a year head start. And at the other end, you saw what we're capable of and the opportunities that kids are having at the other end of the continuum. And so how do we fill that book in between is the challenge. But thank you for the work. I know the principals have noticed it. The kids are different. I know that in my experience, UPK kids always were the kindergartners that just seem to take off the quickest. So
before Kelly steps away, because she'll be humble and not say this, but one of the benefits is we're looking at this position, as Kelly mentioned. This is just the 2nd year that we've had this early childhood education position. Not only the expansion of our UPK offerings, but because Kelly also chairs the Committee on Preschool Special Education and that K-2, kindergarten through 2nd grade Committee on Special Education, she identified very quickly needs that were not being met and put in place some very innovative, kind of cutting edge trailblazer in the county, working with the county to contract with the county for speech and language services, which our students were not getting because of the shortage of providers. And so she, as the person who directly oversees our speech team and all of the early childhood programs, was able to really allocate those resources in a way that we got those students some direct services. So kids who were in our UPK program, she shifted from other providers to our Fulton City School District providers who had capacity in their schedule, so they were able to start those services even though many were being delayed because of the lack of providers in our community. In addition to that, she was able to extend those services into our summer bridges, coinciding with Bridges to Success. So if students needed to have speech services that hadn't been able to access them during the school year, how many did you think we served? 12 students who otherwise would not have had speech prior to entering kindergarten got services.
Families cried.
Families cried, and it was a huge success. So that is one of the great advantages of this systems thinking that Kelly is so good at and her teammates are so good at, bringing all these services together to make sure kids are getting what they need, even though it's not the way we've always done it. So thank you.
You're welcome. I'm going to share what my idea is. You know?
I
Do you know the connection?
I do know what you're going to say, so go right ahead.
So, I really would like to get ahead of even pre-K. So, as I shared, I am a part of the Oswego County Early Childhood Alliance, which is just in it's only been going for a few months. But we know that we need to get them at birth and actually even in prenatal. So I really would like to, I'm not going to be at the hospital, Mr. Paulino.
Oh, really? Come on.
I really would like to have either a basket or a bag with the Fulton Red Dragon on it, with a bib, some information about the district, information about the county, and all of the things that you need as a new mom before you get to that moment at that initial CPSE meeting, you know. So once we have the Red Dragon, and I see I have my connection now with Oswego Hospital with the early college students that can help me out. So that is hopefully next year I'm standing here with the bag.
There you go.
She says she won't be at the hospital, but I don't believe her. Because she will be there in the labor and delivery room with the early college high school students.
I am that crazy.
Thank you, Kelly.
I guess one quick question before you go.
Sure.
Is our goal eventually to phase out the half day so everyone coming in, is that a full day and we have the capacity for that? Or will we still keep half day for people that aren't ready to commit to a full day but still want to be part of the program?
I think that as long as we have that need from the community for that half day, I think that we should be providing that, because there are families that have wanted that half day, you know, because they may be a stay-at-home mom, they may have a student that naps, you know, there's a variety of reasons why you would want that morning. So I think until we see that there's not that need, I think it's still beneficial to offer that morning. I will share that we do not have many looking for afternoon. It really is either all day or the morning.
It's good enough, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you, Kelly. And Mrs. Geithner. Multi-tiered systems of support, Mrs. Geithner.
Thank you. So we wanted to just come back to this very important topic. MTSS stands for Multi-Tiered Systems of Support, and through our work together, our collaborative work together as an administrative team, one of the commitments that we have made is to be acronym conscious as we're going forward, and making sure that we are explaining the acronyms that we use frequently. So MTSS stands for Multi-Tiered Systems of Support. And what that really is, Dr. Lucy, is a systematic way for us to look at student learning holistically. And it starts with implementing instruction, evaluating students' response to that instruction, defining areas of strength and areas that need additional focus, put some interventions in place, analyzing all over again and starting that cycle all over again. And really looking at the academic needs of a student, the social emotional needs of a student, and behavior and attendance needs of a student. And looking at, again, 3 tiers that we are providing. Tier 1 that everyone gets, that's the differentiated core instruction. So that is what every student who comes through our door every day is guaranteed to receive. For students who are not getting to those benchmarks or those learning outcomes that we have defined, they might need some strategic support, small group instruction, reteaching of key concepts and skills. And students may also, if they're not then making progress toward those outcomes, need more intensive or smaller group, more frequent groups, more frequent instruction, or an individualized plan of support. So a student who needs that most intensive level of support also should be getting strategic support and core instruction. The tiers don't take the place of one another, they happen simultaneously. So if you look at the New York State Ed definition, one of the reasons why we're bringing this back to you is, if you remember a couple of years ago, we talked about being awarded a grant from New York State to hone our MTSS systems. It's called MTSSI, so we added another letter to the acronym for the state grant program, which stands for integrated. So we are about to launch that effort. We started in June, and we had our first district assessment team meeting, and tomorrow, actually, Melissa, Eric, and Hannah, and Gina Salerno, the principals from the 3 buildings that this grant focuses on, will meet with our consultant from State Ed to talk about next steps. But New York State really is bringing a lot of resources, professional development, and research into what are the most effective practices through grants like the MTSSI grant. So that's what you'll see from State Ed. And again, you can go on. Yeah. It really emphasizes a holistic approach, so that whole child perspective, and the fact that this is for every child. This is not for struggling children. This is not for children who are at the middle level of their educational journey. It's not only for accelerated students, it's for every single student. And it really has to take into account an unwavering focus on how we support those academic, behavioral, social, emotional growth of every student through all of the initiatives, all of the supports, all of the programs, all of the learning opportunities that we provide. So where are we as a district in implementing this? Because we've been talking about MTSS, also formerly known as Response to Intervention, or RTI, in the past for many years. And what we've come to realize, that this is an ongoing process. It's growing, we're refining, and we're getting results for kids because our staff is investing in this work, and it is a heavy lift, and they're doing a lot of learning, a lot of experimentation, a lot of exploration of best practices, and making adjustments as we go. They're doing some risk-taking and investing a lot of time. So I want to give credit where credit is due as we're working through this. This is the foundation of our strategic coherence plan. It's in the leadership component, and we're going to continue to just reflect, adjust, and improve on those systems as we learn and go. One of the switches that we are making in the upcoming school year is to a platform called Branching Minds. And during our July professional development days, and tomorrow and Wednesday for our August professional development days, all of our staff who attend are getting an overview of this new platform. It is not something that we're adding to already existing platforms. It's actually going to replace 2 different platforms that we're using: Frontline Intervention, which was formerly known as RTIM, and our data platform called 5Lab. And one of the reasons that we went in this direction is this platform will allow our staff, once we're proficient at it, and once we really get it up and running, to have data and interventions in the same place, as opposed to looking at data in 5Lab and then having to go to Frontline Intervention to see what interventions might be in place. You will also see the student from a holistic perspective. So you'll see their attendance data, their ELA data, their math data, their social emotional wellness data. It will all be in one spot. In addition to that, there's a bank of resources that's attached. So if teachers are problem solving, they can click into that bank of resources and find some additional strategies or tools that might be effective in addressing those students' needs. So what we have been honing over last school year and going into this school year is really what does this work look like? Because you have to have the structures in place in order for the work to be effective. You can't just say, we're going to do MTSS. There has to be a system and a process and structures that are really suitable to supporting the individuals who are doing the work. So we're going to look at this from a big picture perspective first, and that's our MTSS Universal Data Team. So every building in our district last year started an MTSS Universal Data Team. And this work is supported by our teacher on special assignment, who's our MTSS coordinator. Carlo Cucaro just left that position. We recently appointed Lynette DePoint to come in and pick up this work where Carlo left off on his retirement. So that team looks at data 4 times a year, and it's big picture data. Their role is really to focus on the systems. What do the data tell us about how our systems are functioning? Do we have the right resources? Do we have the right schedule? Are we using the right intervention programs? Do we have time that we need in order to do this? Big picture, doesn't get down to the individual student level, but just looks at systems. At the elementary level, we also have a district grade level PLT, Professional Learning Team. That team meets once about every 5 weeks, and it's all of the 4th grade, we'll use 4th grade as an example. All of the 4th grade teachers across the district come together. There's a facilitator, 2 facilitators at each grade level who are responsible for really putting together the agenda for the meeting, facilitating the meeting, and help keep that conversation on track. Their job is to focus on 2 very specific questions. What do we want students to know? In other words, what is the learning outcome that we are looking for? And how will we know that they have learned it? What assessment tool will we use to decide if students have made progress toward that standard? Over the past year, our focus has been on creating a common assessment that all 4th grade teachers would use. And most of the time it didn't need to be created. It was already there in the curricular resources, or it was already something they had developed collaboratively. But going back to consistently collecting data on students so that we can look at results across a grade level, across every building, we wanted to make sure we were using the same ones at the same time for these big data review periods. And then at the building level, those professional learning teams will meet as a whole grade level. So after our district level meeting, they'll come back, and the next week we'll have a building level meeting. And they analyze that common assessment. Did we give it? What were the results? Which kids or which groups of kids did really well? Why did they do well? What were our instructional practices that led to that success? And if kids didn't do well, why not? And how do we address that need? So they answer the questions, what will we do when they have not learned it yet? Or what will we do if they already learned it? The next level of that, so that is a problem-solving team. So again, that's the grade level team at the building level. They'll come together and focus even more intensely and intentionally on the students who haven't learned it after an intervention has been implemented. So at that building level team, that whole grade level team, they've decided on an intervention, they've tried the intervention, now they've come back and now they have this smaller group of kids, maybe 2 or 3, who still haven't met that learning outcome. What do we do now? And they'll create a plan for that group of students. If the students are still not meeting success with that particular learning outcome, they may be referred to our intervention team, which is the most intensive, and that's a problem-solving team around individual students. So an interdisciplinary team will come together. It would be the grade level teachers. It might be a reading interventionist, a math interventionist, a speech and language pathologist, a psychologist. The nurse may be present depending on the student's needs, and the building administrator, and come together and really engage in a structured problem-solving process around that. Simultaneously, on the other side of that, on the social-emotional side, you have your student support team. Those are our psychologists, our school home liaison, our school counselors, restorative practice specialists, our peaceful schools, or our social-emotional learning interventionists, our school-based mental health clinicians, who would be part of that student support team along with the building leaders. And they really focus on that tier 2 level and tier 3 level of groups of students and what interventions need to be put in place or what supports need to be allocated in order for kids to be successful in those areas. I'm going to skip through what you'll see in the next couple of slides in your presentation is there's the 7-8 version and then also the 9-12 version. There are parallel systems at each building and each level. The names of the teams are a little different because the structures within the schools are a little different. But if you get to this data team, you can see by clicking on, Dr. Lisi, if you could click on the image on the left-hand side, the blue, that will open up. These slides just really go into more detail, and this is a presentation that we actually did with all of our staff in February and again in at the July meetings, our professional development days, and we'll do tomorrow and tomorrow and Thursday, I'm sorry, at our August professional development days. So everybody is hearing this message multiple times. The resource that is not coming around to open is actually a meeting guide, and it's what the teams use so that we have uniformity and consistency across the teams. So it defines the purpose, who should be at the team, what a sample agenda should be looking like, and what the outcomes of each of those types of meetings are.
And are those who gets that after the fact? Who's reviewing?
So for the universal data team meeting, which is the first example, that whole building team, that meeting would then help to inform the leadership team in the building, perhaps the site-based team in the building, and the school culture team. So it's really a cyclical relationship. Those teams are informing the universal data team, and then the universal data team is giving feedback to those teams to help guide big picture decisions at the building level. For the grade level team meetings, that goes to the principals and the relevant directors, and then for the building level teams to the principals and his or her support teams that they designate to be supportive of those teams in their work. So you can move through down because that's essentially the MTSS data team. This is sort of just a different image to look at this, that we have the systems level teams we have in our district at the building, our MTSS universal data team, our school culture teams, our site-based decision-making teams, and our school improvement leadership team. So every building has those 4 systems level teams in place. So you can see again, just another explanation of how to differentiate this. The MTSS universal team looks at the systems at the building level, and then the professional learning teams, the problem-solving teams, and intervention teams focus on teaching and learning and interventions so that we're looking down into the student level on those teams. And again, you can skip through these because these are just samples and examples of those types of teams. So another look at this, I don't know, Dom, if you can, will that link open? Another on the left-hand side, if you click on that link, you'll get a bigger version of this image.
2 seconds like that.
There you go. Pull that up a little bit. So another way to look at this, again, we're trying to give you multiple visual images to describe this. So our systems level teams are defined there, what they are and what questions they ask. Are our systems equipped to meet the needs of every learner? That's the systems level team. Our all student teams, which are our district PLTs, what do we want students to know or learn, and how will we know when they've learned it? Our every student teams are the teams that look at, now that we have assessed, what was the outcome? What do we do for those students who have not learned yet or those who already know it? Our some students teams, now that we've intervened, what will we do for those students who have not learned it yet and need more support? And for their individual student team, what highly individualized plan of support can we develop and implement for a student with the most intensive needs? So as you can see from the structure, the facilitators that we have at the elementary level and the department chairs and facilitators we have at the secondary level support this work. Our instructional coaches will be supporting this work at the problem-solving team level to come with strategies for that problem-solving, interdisciplinary problem-solving. And our director team supports throughout. Overarching that is our MTSS coordinator, who really is there for systems fidelity. How do we help support the teams in their work? What resources do they need? What professional development do they need? And what do building principals need in order to globally support that work across all of our buildings?
So Mrs. Geithner?
Yes.
If I'm hearing you correctly, there's always a tier above the next tier, making sure the tier before it is functioning to its efficiency?
That's an interesting way to put it, yes. So starting with tier 1, right, that's where you really want to get that's the biggest bang for our buck. If we reach every student with tier 1 instruction, guaranteed and viable curriculum, highly effective instructional practices, classroom systems and structures that are conducive to learning, you get 80%, and in an ideal model, right, you get 80% of your kids who are meeting learning outcomes with tier 1 instruction. It doesn't always happen that way. That's the ideal world. And then you have to look at, for those students who didn't learn, what next level tier, right? Small group, more frequency, reteaching opportunities, and then a more intensive tier, more individualized. Longer in duration, greater in intensity, smaller in group size, or any combination of those.
And that doesn't take them out of the tier 1, that's in addition to the tier 1 they'll continue to learn, correct?
Always in addition to. Right, because you don't want to create new gaps by removing students from tier 1 instruction for intervention. Intervention has to be in addition to tier 1 instruction.
Say tier again.
Multiple tiers, multi-tiered.
So are we implementing this now? And if we are, where are we in the implementation process?
We are implementing, and we actually started with these teaming models last year, this sort of revised structure last year. And we are at different phases, based on building, based on grade level team. Everybody is doing this work to some degree, and everyone is having these conversations. We need to continue to look at how to refine the system. So one of the key factors of this work is giving adequate collaboration time for teachers to do this work. So at the elementary level, these are those 8:30 to 9:30 meetings or 2:30 to 3:30 meetings, depending on the grade level, that happen every week. So these teams don't all meet in the same week. There's a cycle that we define. So our elementary and secondary curriculum councils meet first. That helps to inform the work of the district level PLT, professional learning team, and then the district level team informs the work of the building level team. So they're getting the curricular information first and the standards information first, and then working on what is it more refined, in a more refined way, what are the learning outcomes that we're seeking, and what are the assessments that we'll use. And when we say assessments, we don't mean sitting for an hour doing a paper and pencil test. We might be doing an authentic hands-on project. We might be using a very short exit ticket. We might be using an end-of-unit test.
But are they all common?
They are not all common yet.
So, okay.
But we're working toward that. Common assessments, I think you'll see a great deal of the assessments that we're using are common across a grade level or a department or a course, if you're at the high school level, course specific. So we're refining that. We've actually done a lot of work. Our teachers have done a lot of work this summer. We had one day where the teams worked on common assessments from a K through 12 perspective, so they got to look at each other's to see how to best fit them in. Are we duplicating efforts? Are we assessing similar concepts? And is that a good thing to do? Is that something that needs adjustment? There's no right or wrong answer to that. It depends on the curriculum. And then those teams, in addition to working on the common assessments, did some curriculum revision and pacing work together as a team. And then yesterday, We brought an interdisciplinary K through 12 team together to work on our essential learning, finishing our essential learning outcomes side, the lens of learning, which will be coming to you in September to show you some of the results of this work. You'll get to see the common essential learning outcomes, and you'll get to see the common assessments that have been developed or refined over the course of the past 15
And
months.
parents will be able to see that as well,
Parents will
correct?
see it, students will see it, teachers will be able to use it.
Are we, I guess I think all of this work is phenomenal. But in my mind, I'm just seeing gaps. We use the word common a lot. And is there anything in common per grade level that we're all on the same page with? Do you know what I mean? Like in, let's say, 9th grade science, do we have common assessments for the chosen units that 9th grade is teaching that year?
Yes.
For every single unit, there is a common assessment, and then you can analyze that data. In 2nd grade, do you have common assessments for however you would do that in 2nd grade? Or is everybody still?
Not consistently everywhere, but much more so after this last year's work than before. And so we're moving toward that common assessment. At the elementary level, you'll see those are common assessments and the report card assessments. So in a sense, we've had those for a while because there's report card standards-based grading at the elementary level, and there are assessments that are common across the grade level to assess progress toward those identified report card standards. But we want the work to be deeper and more, I guess, reflective of day-to-day adjustments in instruction. So that's where we've really been focusing.
I guess I'm having a hard time. If we're not all on the same page doing the same thing, how are we diving deeper into something that we haven't finalized yet?
So we have lots of this already in place. It's a matter of refining it. So there might be a common assessment, for example, at a grade level that's not used at the same time.
Okay.
It's the same assessment, but it's not used at the same time. So some of the work they were doing was, let's align this so that we're aligning these units up a little bit differently so that we can come together as a team and talk about this data. It is already in place in many, many places. This is truly a refining year that we have. And I will say at the secondary level, we've done common quarterly assessments for, I don't know, 10 years. 10 years, I would say at least. So that work, again, was foundational there, and we continue to build on that.
So do we have data from this past year at, like at certain grade levels, at every grade level, using common assessments themselves?
Yes, we
do.
do.
Does
Yes,
that
we
make
do.
sense? Okay, and we've already seen that?
You have not already seen that.
Oh, okay.
No, you have not already seen it as a board.
I'm like, I just want to make sure I'm doing it.
No, you didn't miss it.
Okay. So we can get that data, and then we can see, we'll at some point be able to see the data and then see the commonality everywhere, and then how it's refining, so it all comes together.
Yes, we'll come to you with probably examples, because
Yeah,
you wouldn't
of
want to
course.
see all of them.
No, I would not. You're right. You're exactly right. Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Tim, you had a question?
Oh, I was just gonna help with the explaining if I understood it, but it's all good. Sounds like we're good.
And again, because going back to the common assessment, just one other thing to emphasize, we have them built in. CKLA, for example, has common assessments already. Our teachers are using those. What we're really refining is how we look at them together collaboratively and take action on them collaboratively. The same with our math curriculum, Eureka. There's already assessments built in. Teachers are using those, and we're refining the practice of how do we use them differently to inform instruction, and how do we extract smaller parts of them to use for like those weekly checks and more frequent formative assessments of student learning.
And we have a place for, I know you mentioned, if you're not understanding the core, like the 80%. So if you're not at that level, then you're going to be
put into a small group to make sure that the learning is occurring, and we have a system in place to make sure that is happening.
So what we have is a whole range of interventions that are identified at a tier. So if a student needs tier 2 support, it might be just a brief reteaching. That teacher may take extra time during the RTI time that's built into the schedule to reteach that lesson to a small group. Or it might be a systematic intervention, something like SPIRE or Read 180. It might be a small math group on the math side. It might be a social skills group for our students with social emotional learning needs.
So they're not being taken out of the class itself to have the learning, or to have it retaught?
Correct.
Okay, it's built
It's
into the
additional
schedule.
time that's in the student schedule.
Okay,
And
thank
in the teacher schedule.
I just have one quick question.
Yes.
This RTI time, is that built into the high school's schedule as well now?
So it is not built into the high school schedule except during guided study hall.
Okay.
So that's the time where interventions would be delivered.
So we would be
in
sent
a-
to our classes?
Yes.
We were last year.
Correct. But there are also some intervention courses that are built in, like the course that's called Reading and Writing for Success.
Yeah.
That's specifically designed for intervention. In the math department, there are some math classes that have a math lab attached to it. So that's the intervention time. So is there universal time? Guided study hall would be that universal time. Is there more targeted time for some students who need that extra? Yes, in those additional courses or labs.
And any other questions? So really we wanted to provide the framework, and you heard a lot of the different supports, the human resources that are attached at a lot of those different levels. So it gets back to everything. You know, we have a strategic coherence plan. Coherence is the key here. We have a lot of components and all of the research, the right things in place. Now it's really bringing it, refining it, honing it, and making sure that it's coherent across the system, pre-K through 12th grade. So it's coming. I mean, it's a lot of work, and I was impressed. I'm looking forward to the lens of learning coming out, because that's something we present last summer. We started talking about that, and we knew it was going to take us about a year to lay out the curriculums in all the different areas. It's not just one. We're talking all the different cores, correct?
Correct.
And other areas as well.
Pre-K through 12.
Yes. So if you're a parent, you want to look at pre-K through 12th grade, you can actually look at pre-K through 12th grade ELA, and you can actually see in the continuum where kids should be or what they'll be learning throughout that continuum. Something that I think families been looking for a while.
For sure.
And I'm going to brag on our interdisciplinary specialists around that, because that's the work that they've been doing in their positions, along with a lot of teachers who have given a lot of time to curriculum writing, and counselors and student support professionals who've come together to do that. We can't wait to show you.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Thank you, Mrs. Geithner. Monthly operations and finance report, Dr. Lisi.
Thank you, Mr. Bovino. So this is our July financials report. It's the first financial report for the year, so the data is somewhat limited, but I'll share that with you. We usually report these, we haven't here before, as a comparative with last year's at the same time. So we'll start with our revenues. Our actual revenues for July were $52,161 as compared to last year's revenues at this time, which were $130,858. Our expenditures as of this date are a little over 1.9 million. That actually represents 2% of our total budget. And last year was 2.4 million, which is about 3%. And what you can see below is just a image that represents those figures at this time. Obviously, we wouldn't see much variability at this point since it's our first report. What's more interesting, hopefully, is the graph, and I'll just share with you really quickly here. We started this process last year where we showed cash flow and kind of give you an idea of how we project cash flow throughout the year. We use this is one of our most important tools to kind of gauge where we anticipate being throughout the year. And 2021-22 is the blue line, 22-23 ending cash balance is the orange line, and 23-24 projected ending cash balance is the gray line. And as you can see, our projections are getting much better as we move along in this process. So we know what to anticipate when. So with that, I will close out the financial report for July.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the forecasting lines are getting closer down?
They're they're getting more in line with each other and accurate.
Okay,
So.
thank you.
Remainder, just a couple of announcements. Our Fulton City School District supply distribution, our school supplies, hard to believe, is day after tomorrow, 4 to 7 p.m. So it'll actually be over in 3 days at this point in time, or 2 days. But it's an exciting evening. A lot of our families come out, a lot of our agencies are there, lots of resources, distribution of all different types of school supplies. So please, I hope you can be there. And for any of our families listening, please come, please attend. It's a great evening. Our community eligibility provision, I just put it on there because it was a question that we had, and we had discussed it when we were putting together the agenda when I was meeting with the president and vice president. But some districts have gone back to not having free or lunch for their students after COVID ended because that wasn't in their districts. We continue to be a community eligibility provision district. Therefore, all or every student in our district is eligible for breakfast and lunch in our programs. I'm going to reinforce that. We have received some questions because of some articles on other school districts where that's not happening. But we have been a CEP district for over 5 years, if not 6. It continues to be a very good program for our families and our students economically. And the food is actually quite good. From what the feedback I get, it's getting better and better.
And
so
I think you just sent out there was a text to all the families.
Just because we've been getting questions, parents were asking about should I, and we're like, we just need to but it got very confusing. I can see that from other districts putting things out. So so that's good news for our families. Our school readiness, I had the opportunity to walk all 6 buildings last Thursday and Friday. I do it randomly. I just show up and walk through, and then I end up chatting with the different custodians and whatnot. And the buildings look like they're in very good shape. They were in a good place last Thursday and Friday, and on pace. I met with Mr. Crump today just briefly, and he said he was feeling things are on pace. Reminder, on Tuesday night, we will be, this coming Tuesday the 29th, 5 p.m. we'll start at Lanigan. Then we'll go to Granby, Volney, and then 4th Street. We'll start at Lanigan. And then on Wednesday evening, 5 p.m., we'll start at Fairgrave. And then we'll go to the junior high and G. Ray Bodley. So hopefully they feel very good about where they're going to. And I heard, it was good when I walk around, you hear the word pride. They take so much pride in the work that they're doing. And they're very much looking forward to your walkthroughs. They really take a lot from that. It's a big evening for them, and it really acknowledges the work that they've been doing in preparation for our kids. And it's all the things that you never hear about that they've done, because things are in good shape. So we're looking forward, and each of the head custodians and their teams are very much looking forward to the annual visitation of school readiness. And that is the conclusion of the superintendent's report. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Polvino. And just for on those nights when we're doing those building walkthroughs, if for some reason you are not able to attend, just shoot me a quick text so we know not to start without you. Otherwise, we'll just wait for everybody to get there.
I will be late. We have our audit that week, so I'll be there, but I'll be late, so I'll just text you. And
Yeah, just text me when you get in that area. Perfect. All right. With that, we're going to move on to our finance section. For action 4.01, we're going to accept the financials.
Move it.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. Action 4.02, approve our internal auditor.
Move it.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain?
Opposed.
You know what I'm saying. Opposed, abstaining, passes 700. I'm not trying to move too fast, guys. Action 4.03, which would be to dispose of surplus property.
Move it.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, passes 700. Action 4.04 is approving the tax warrants, actually a roll call. So, Mr. Crandall?
Moved by.
Oh, yes, I have to move this first, thank you. Wait, no, it's a roll call.
Well, it's still moved by and seconded.
Yeah, you're right.
Move it.
Second.
Tim and Valen. All those in favor? But we're gonna do the roll call.
Just kidding.
Just kidding. We've been here since 4:30, my friends, so excuse me for being a little tired. All right, Mr. Crandall.
Yes.
Mrs. Hutchinson? Mrs. Mainville?
Yes.
Mrs. Papalardo?
Yes.
Myself is a yes. Mr. DeJalorme?
Yes.
And Mr. Connors?
Yes.
Okay. Now, we have to sign all of these this evening, correct? No, we don't have to sign it? Okay. We're going to move on to new business. Action 5.01 will be approving committee on special education.
Move it.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. Action 5.02, we're approving the district safety plan.
Move it.
Second?
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700. For our personnel. Opposed? Abstaining?
Abstain.
Passes 601. Would my colleagues like to batch 6.06 to 6.14?
Move it.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 700.
Before we move on,
Sure.
summer school, we're appointing them now after the fact for 6.04.
Yep, those
Just
are
wanna-
grievance exams, proctoring.
So this is not just,
This is an extended year program. It's just,
so it's not the one that just took place?
no, this would be the Regents exams. It would be grading the Regents exams.
Okay.
It would be teaching review classes, Regents exams.
Okay.
Yeah. We had over 20 kids that had accommodations for most of our exams.
But are they teaching, they're reviewing now for Regents exams, right?
Exams were last week. So they came in last week to proctor. They had to proctor the exams. We didn't know how many kids, you know, you wouldn't know that until.
Gotcha.
We didn't have a final list set until late last week.
Okay.
The other teachers weren't. We've approved for others. This is really for the examination components and scoring.
Because you found out which students actually were eligible and they needed their
And they-
accommodations, so we had to quickly
We had a lot of
put them
kids
in.
with individualized
We didn't
testing.
have it all together by the last board.
Yep, totally understand. All right, we'll move on. 7.01, we'll start with board forum. Harper, how about if we start with you? Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. It was great hearing from Mr. Broderick and Ms. Gates about, I think, both the opposite ends of the district. It was really good hearing your report, Ms. Geithner. Very informative. I might have some questions for you later, though, pertaining to the high school specifically. But yeah, thank you guys so much. I'm really excited.
Mrs. Hutchinson.
Just thank you everybody for the reports. I really loved your presentation, Mr. Broderick. I love hearing from the students and how excited they are, all the amazing things that we're doing. I've always been a huge advocate of internship and getting kids out there. The only reason why I got into nursing was because the teacher said to me, "You're good at biology, maybe you should be a nurse." Like really getting out there and trying things. I would love to also figure out a way to eventually include the community and trades in that. I'm thinking like Rex Automotive or Jaegers or Tricami, like all these different local area businesses that we could, you know, the city of Fulton, whether it's police or fire department or the courts, and just give our students that type of experience to really just explore their options and their interests. I really love that. I'm super excited about the UPK and the 5-fold classes. That's amazing. We're just doing really great things, and I'm really excited to see, you know, where we're going in the future. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Mr. Crandall, over there so quiet.
I want to thank everyone for the presentations. Mr. Broderick, excellent presentation. I think one of the successes is you. You seem to have such a passion for it that really, really makes it go. Thank you. And that's it.
Okay, Ms. Mainville.
I'd like to say welcome to Harper. Thank you for being here. And I know you're going to give some great insight for this year, so I'm really excited to have you here. Thank you to Mr. Broderick and all those students. Man, I'll tell you, I have never seen better public speaking ever. And that is very telling that your program is outstanding. I mean, you lead by example, because I've heard you talk, and you too are outstanding and can go on forever. But I mean, the hands-on experience, they're well-versed in so many things, they're excited to try new things, they are well-educated in the paths they want to take in the future. It's a good feeling to know that they have you and they're excited for their future. So that was great. Thank you for Ms. Gates, the UPK programs. I mean, it's very, I can't think of the word, but she is so passionate about what she does, visiting the students' houses and having screening taking place, and the visitations just to rally in the troops. It's outstanding. So thank you. That's all I have to say.
Mrs. Papalardo.
Yeah, I will just piggyback on that because we definitely have some key people in key places here, and it shows 100%. I just am amazed by the students and the way that they speak, and I know their parents are proud of them. I am proud of them, and they're not even my child. It's been such an awesome opportunity, and I'm so grateful, and I will say it for the next 25 years, that we are able to provide that to our kids and that we put the work into that to do that. And I'm also excited about UPK because I do have a little guy going in there, so I can't wait to hear all those stories.
Are you in on the full day?
We are in on the full day, so yes, and exciting stuff. So just want to wish everyone a good start to the school year, and that's it.
Mr. DeJalorme.
Thank you, Mr. Broderick. Congratulations to all your students. Again, very well spoken. Great role models for those freshmen going in. I hope they can get with somebody who doesn't have quite as much on the ball as they do and pass some of that on. A thank you to Mrs. Gates for her extra efforts. And Mrs. Geithner, I just learned about MTSS at the Leadership in Education conference that I went to, and you just clarified a lot of things that I didn't understand. So thank you.
Mr. Connors.
I think a word I've heard a lot and I would have to agree with is excited. I think excited at the beginning of a new year, there's a lot of things going on, but a lot to look forward to. And I think something special about tonight was we got to celebrate a lot, whether it was our students and our internships, whether it's how many full-day UPK kids we have coming in our district. There were so many things to celebrate, but I noticed in each presentation, it wasn't settling with what we were celebrating. It was, how do we get more kids into the programs? How do we make it so more people in our community take access and have accessibility to these programs? And I think that really struck home, is that, you know, we are doing great in a lot of areas, but how can we do even better for our families and our community? So I think if we continue to keep up with that, we are going to have not only a great year, but great future years to come.
Awesome, thank you. I'm very excited for the beginning of our school year. For Fulton, not for myself. I could be on summer for a little bit longer. But seriously, I got to attend the new teacher orientation this morning, and to see all of those new people coming in and to see what they have to offer for our students. I mean, this was a room full of brand new people who are ready to just dive into the great things that we already have here in place in Fulton. And I mean, Mr. Broderick, they've all said it, but I mean, you just bring an energy, and not even from the kids that you've brought into the presentations this June or this evening, but I'm hearing it from your other students who you said you could just pull their names out of a hat and they probably could come in here and be just as excited. It's exciting, and just remind me, do we take in students from other districts that do not have part of this? And if so, how many students are able to join us?
So on the health science grant, when we wrote that grant, we included Mexico and Hannibal. We'll invite 7 new students, 4 from Mexico, 3 from Hannibal this year, to join 12 other Mexico and Hannibal students that will either be on campus for taking classes or in our high school from 7:30 to 10:15 each day as part of our program.
I mean, that just goes to show the community that we have here, and that it's not just our students that we are caring to see make great strides in their education, but we're reaching out to our partners throughout the, in other communities, and I mean, that's just wonderful.
One of our early college students from Hannibal is on our ski club. Most of them came to homecoming last year. They really feel like part of our school community.
That is so great. That is so great to hear. Just the opportunities out there. I'm thrilled to hear about the UPK program, that full day. Just that we even have students on a waiting list still. What a great opportunity for our littles. I think that's great. And the enthusiasm that Mrs. Gates has. And I guess I never would have thought, like, hey, you know, we're going out and we're doing the screenings at people's houses because this is a need that we might have in our community. Just the way that we think outside the box to help all of our families. I can't thank you, Mrs. Geithner, and your team enough. I mean, you guys really do a great job with what we have in our district, and I am proud to be part of this district. So I know I give you guys a lot of questions and a lot of pushback sometimes, but I really like what you guys do for our families. So thank you so much. Harper, it's going to be a great year with you. You know the drill. You know that there's going to be an incoming junior, so you need to get out there at the gates and get the word out so that we can get some, you know, students involved that might want to come and do what you do, and that'll just be great. Building walkthroughs next week, I'm looking forward to, because I've already been on some of the grounds and some of the schools around town, and they're looking good. I can't wait to see what's inside, and I know that our custodial staff really like to show us what they're doing in there. So I appreciate everything that everybody's doing in our district, and for those of you who get to enjoy a couple more weeks and don't have any trainings this week, get out there, relax, staff, because you're going to be back in the thick of it soon. So thank you. We do not have, well, could do second public forum. Is there anybody who would be interested to speak on anything from tonight's topic or agenda? Going once, going twice. All right, we're going to move on to 7.03, executive session. We do not have any tonight, so we're going to cross that right off. So we're going to go on to our adjournment, 8.01. Move it, was that Mr.
Yep.
Mr. Connors? Okay, and can I get a second? Second. I got a Nick. And all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Passes 7-0-0. I appreciate everybody joining this evening. Have a great night. Thank you.
So